Everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is September 13th, 2025, and today the club surprising us with some unfortunate news because Lamine Yamal is injured and he will not be available for tomorrow's match. Today we're going to discuss what the injury is, how everything transpired, and more importantly, Hansi Flick's words, because today during a pre-match press conference, Flick was very furious. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. We'll begin this video with the news that today Hansi Flick informed everyone that Lamine Yamal was injured and he was not available for tomorrow's match. And a few moments after that, the club confirmed this news through an official statement that read as follows. The player Lamine Yamal is experiencing discomfort in the pubic area that prevents him from training and playing at this time. His progress will determine his availability for returning to training. Now, it seems that ever since Lamine Yamal returned from the FIFA international break, from his international duty with the Spanish national team, he had not completed a single training, and instead he was just doing light rondos. If you don't know what the rondos are, that's where they stand in a circle. There's someone in the middle, maybe sometimes two people in the middle, and they're passing the ball, and then the two people in the middle got to intercept the ball. So Lamine Yamal had not finished a full training since he came back. He's only been doing rondos, and now the club confirming that he is injured. He will miss tomorrow's match against Valencia, and he's currently a doubt for Thursday's match against Newcastle in the Champions League. Now, Hansi Flick today in a pre-match press conference had announced this. He announced that Lamine was injured before the club made it official. And then Flick expressed how angry he was at the entire situation. We're going to talk about the statements, and then I'm going to tell you exactly how things transpired and why Hansi Flick was angry. Now, these were the words of the German coach. No, he won't be available for tomorrow. Of course, talking about Lamine Yamal. He played for the national team despite discomfort. He played 75 to 78 minutes with discomfort and without training between matches, and that's not looking after the players. I think the Spanish national team has a great squad, the best players in the world, but they haven't looked after their players, and that's news that saddens me. So Flick directly accusing the Spanish national team of not taking care of their players, because not only did they play Lamine Yamal with discomfort, but they also played him in the second match without any trainings in between. So he wasn't even comfortable enough or healthy enough to train, but yet Luis de la Fuente thought that Lamine Yamal was healthy enough to play the second match against Turkey. I mean, that's complete and utter irresponsibility on behalf of Luis de la Fuente. But let's continue. When asked about Luis de la Fuente, Hansi Flick said, I've never spoken to him. I just texted, but I've never spoken to him. My Spanish isn't very good, and neither is his English. But at the end of the day, communication could be better. We don't just have one player, we have more. I've been in that situation too. Of course, referring that he too was a coach of a national team, Germany. But communication with the club has to be good, and it has to be good. So Flick absolutely furious, accusing Spain of mishandling not only Lamine Yamal, but also all their players. Now, I completely understand Hansi Flick's anger, especially when we realize what exactly transpired. Now, immediately after this press conference, the Spanish national team denied knowing that Lamine Yamal had arrived with discomfort, because it looks like when Lamine Yamal left Barcelona, joined the Spanish national team training camp, he had arrived with some discomfort in his lumbar region, in his back. And the Royal Spanish Football Federation denied knowing that, which, of course, I call BS. There's no way Barcelona is not going to inform them that their most important player is arriving with discomfort. And B, even if you didn't know, how about, hey, man, how you doing, Lamine? Feeling a discomfort today? Oh, you're back? Cool. There you go. Problem solved. But, As I said, I call BS because after the Royal Spanish Football Federation denied being informed of Lamine Yamal's back problems when he arrived, Barcelona immediately said that that was BS. And in fact, Barcelona said that as soon as Lamine joined the Spanish national team training camp, they notified the team's doctor, the Spanish national team's team doctor, Dr. Claudio Vasquez. They called him and they said, hey, Lamine Yamal is arriving with back problems. They immediately notified him of that. Also, Dr. Ricard Pruna, he's the one in charge of the medical services at FC Barcelona, was in daily communication with the Spanish national team's doctors every day, sending them emails, sending them texts, in communication with them, monitoring the situation with Lamine Yamal. So they knew from day one that Lamine Yamal had arrived with back problems. What did they do? They played him against Bulgaria for 79 minutes. What was the purpose of playing Lamine against Bulgaria? Because it's freaking Bulgaria. You're telling me you cannot beat Bulgaria without Lamine Yamal? And B, have him play for 79 minutes. Spain was up 0-3 at the 38th minute. That means at halftime, that match was over, was done. Was there any need to play Lamine Yamal until the 79th minute? And the answer is no. Lamine Yamal should have not been played at all because of his discomfort. And if you're going to play him, you definitely did not need to play him until the 79th minute when you were already winning at the 38th. And then it gets worse because not only do they play him with back discomfort, he doesn't train in between matches, which means he wasn't even healthy enough to train. But somehow, some way, Luis de la Fuente thinks, hey, this guy's not healthy enough to train, but he's healthy enough to play. And what does he do? He plays him against Turkey for 73 minutes. Which, again, what was the point of playing Lamine Yamal when he was already injured? And even if you're going to play him, did you really need him for 73 minutes when that match was over at halftime? And the answer is no, which shows an absolute lack of responsibility by Luis de la Fuente. He does not give two Fs about his players because under his supervision is that Gabi suffered that injury that took him out for an entire year. It was under his supervision that Pedri was played every match during the Olympics, and he ended up getting injured for an entire year on and off. And now under his supervision, he played Lamine Yamal while injured against Bulgaria. He played him against Turkey while he was injured. And now Lamine Yamal will be injured and not available for tomorrow's match against Valencia. And he might not be available for the Newcastle match. So, of course, Hansi Flick is going to be pissed because it's now Barcelona who are going to have to pay for the incompetence of Luis de la Fuente. It's Barcelona who pay Lamine Yamal's salary. It's Barcelona who have to pay for his treatment, all because Luis de la Fuente is a POS who does not care about his players. So I totally understand Hansi Flick's anger. I'm angry because as a coach, you cannot be this irresponsible, especially with an 18-year-old whose body is still developing. His muscles are not fully developed. His ligaments are not fully developed. He is not fully developed as a human being, and you cannot be this irresponsible with an 18-year-old. Luis de la Fuente, I have two things to say to you. F you. Anyways, let's move on because, of course, the question is, who's going to be playing in the place of Lamine Yamal? Of course, Rooney Bardarji is available, even though he has not played a single match with First Division. So we might able to see maybe Ferran Torres on the right with Lewandowski in the center as a center forward. Maybe Rooney coming in later. We could also see Rafinha on the right with Marcus Rashford on the left. Plenty of options there, of course. But nonetheless, I'm still upset about what happened with Lamine, but we should be fine without him tomorrow against Valencia. And then again, the silver lining is that this opens the door for someone like Rooney Bardarji to get some minutes. Now, speaking of injury, we do have to talk about Frenkie de Jong because Frenkie returned from his international duty due to some discomfort because unlike the incompetent moron Luis de la Fuente, Ronald Koeman, the coach of the Netherlands team, as soon as Frenkie felt some discomfort in his gluteus, he said, come back, took him out of the match, and then was like, you know what, I'm not risking you, go home. Sent him home. He didn't play the second match because, again, he's not as incompetent as that idiot Luis de la Fuente. But nonetheless, Frenkie de Jong, of course, has been training on his own due to that injury. But today, he was seen training with the group, which, of course, the question arose, is he got to be available tomorrow now that he's training with the group, because as you know, when you're training with a group, it means you're either fully recovered or you're about to be fully recovered. And this is what Hansi Flick had to say about Frankie's fitness. Frankie is unavailable for tomorrow. Marc won't be in the starting lineup, speaking about Marc Bernal, but he will be on the bench. And the next step in his recovery process is to be available. I'm looking forward to seeing him on the pitch and playing more. So there you have it, folks. Frankie de Jong will not be available for tomorrow. Hansi Flick will not be running any risks with his players, unlike that moron, that incompetent moron, Luis de la Fuente. But the good news is that, ladies and gentlemen, Hansi Flick confirming what I've been saying in past videos is, I think I said it yesterday, the podcast, there was a lot of reports saying that Marc Bernal could be included for the first time in the squad list after a full year of being out due to injury, and Hansi Flick confirming that. So tomorrow, Bernal will be on the squad list. Great news for Marc Bernal, who has been through a lot with this recovery. Great news, of course, for Flick and the team, because Marc Bernal is undoubtedly a great addition. Of course, he's not going to start. There's no way, because Flick is not going to risk it. I like that moron, incompetent moron, Luis de la Fuente. So we'll see if he gets minutes. If he does, I'm sure it's going to be towards the end, to ease him in slowly. And you could say with me, unlike who? Unlike that incompetent moron, Luis de la Fuente. All right, more injury news, because, ladies and gentlemen, Dro will not be available for tomorrow. He, as you might recall, Dro went back down with Barca Athletic and played their first official match against Porreras, I can't remember their name. And it looks like he received a knock. He was subbed out during the second half. It's not serious, but Hansi Flick doesn't want to run any risk with him, so he's not going to be available for tomorrow. Unlike who? The theme of the video? That moron, incompetent moron, Luis de la Fuente. And finally, the last bit of news in regards, of course, Andreas. Oh, that's not Andreas Christensen. I guess I messed up my my presentation. I guess I'm the incompetent moron here, like Luis de la Fuente. But Andreas Christensen, ladies and gentlemen, more reports are coming out from internal sources at the club saying that it looks like Christensen is starting to pull ahead in the race for who's going to be alongside Pau Cubarsí. It looks like the staff, the coaching staff of Flick, are very happy and impressed with the progress of Christensen. Of course, last season they barely got to see him play because most of it he was injured. But now they're happy with his progress. They're happy with his adaptation to Flick's system. So it looks like Christensen could be the starting center back. Of course, I welcome that news. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about this news? Let me know down below in the comment section. And with that, we'll end this video. And of course, there will be another video in a little bit. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.